Hi everyone, Ray from Pro String with another racket restringing tutorial. Today's racket will be a tennis racket, to be precise, the Solinco, you can see it on here, Solinco Whiteout 305. 305 represents the weight of the racket. Not all that happy with the job that's been done previously, not by ourselves. The string is pretty much coming out of the frame almost. When they've done their knots. This one's not too bad. This one's actually not too bad either. Yeah, not great workmanship, unfortunately. Cut the strings out. Cut yourself an X. If you do a stringing course one day, they'll tell you that the best way to cut strings out is diagonally. But I guess it's a bit like everything. I don't really know anybody that cuts them out diagonally. Despite having all the courses and titles that they may obtain. So today we'll be stringing at 48 pounds of tension with our best polyester seller, which is the Pro String Nemesis. Yep, it is our own brand. We produce it in Germany. I use it personally. I played semi-pro. I still hit a decent ball, I guess you could say. And that'll be strung at 48 pounds of tension. The Pro String Nemesis is a nice co-polyester string, really smooth on the arm, just a good all-round smooth polyester. Unlike the RPM Blast, for example, which I'm very much anti-RPM Blast. I've seen it destroy a lot of arms, elbows at least. So, as you've seen, mounted the racket nicely on the machine. Find yourself the middle, top and bottom. This has 6 holes in the bottom, therefore 3 loops, let's say. I'm gonna do a 2-piece job, which means 4 knots. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So as you saw, I put in my first 2 mains, 1 to each side, which means it's a 16-19, I believe. 16-19 stringing pattern, as most tennis rackets are, probably 80%, 80%, let's leave it at 80%. I've measured 7 more main strings to each side, which I've measured against the frame, as you've seen. I'm going to hold, hopefully you can see my hand. I'm going to hold the string here, and I'm just going to grab the other side. I've left myself a decent piece so I can reach the tension head, no problems. And now I'm just going to run my fingers through the strings as this and find the end. And now I've now measured the other side along with the side that I've measured. Getting my words tangled, sorry. So the last racket I strung was a badminton racket a little while ago. Make sure you adjust your clamps for the thickness of the string that you're going to use. Again, 48 pounds of tension. Clamped my string, my main string here. I'm going to hold it up ever so slightly. All 16-19 rackets with 6 holes in the neck of the throat of the racket all start from the top down and back up. Well, I'll leave you here. I've got a small gap between my fixture here. I'm just going to put that against the frame without applying pressure. Without applying pressure, guys. Just get it to touch. If you start applying lots of pressure, you're going to struggle to get your racket off the machine. And not only that, you may deform. In other words, give the racket its unnatural shape or a unnatural shape. So watch out for that. That's my third main to one side, and now I'm going to go to the other side. I want to keep everything as symmetrical as possible. So 3, 3, 3, and then 2 and 2, because 3 plus 3 is 6, plus 2 is 8. There's only 8 strings to each side on our mains on this Solinco Whiteout 305. Tried it today actually for the first time. Not a bad racket. I was actually quite surprised because I'm not much of a 98 square inch kind of person. However, the strings were very soft. The Solinco Hyper G, is it Hyper G? Can't remember what string I just cut out. The green, I think it might be Hyper G, yeah. Actually, I think I've got a reel here somewhere. Yes, exactly, the Hyper G. It was not strung very well, then it been on a plane. I don't know when it was last strung or how accurate it was strung to 48. This client likes 48 pounds of tension. It's a guy I hit with actually. I've actually taken a picture of the knots. I'm going to show him a before and after picture. So you've done, as you can see, I've done 3 to each side, 6 to that side now. I'm on my 5th main now. 5th, and then the next one will be 6th. There you go, 6 mains. Skip one at the bottom, may not be the case at the top, but it also is at the top. You're going to skip 1, which is your first cross when doing your crosses. And then I believe there is another skip. Yep, you can see I'm going to skip that one, which is our 2nd cross, down and back through. My last main, I am tying a knot in a moment. Up your tension. Recommended tension for finishing knots is 15 to 20% higher. So 48, we're going from 48 to 55.2, which is exactly 15% of added tension on my last main string before tying the knot. Always up the tension when doing a finishing knot, guys. Finishing, not a cross. Sorry, not a cross, not a starting knot. Starting knot, there's no need, there's no tension lost, as you'll see in a minute. When I do my, there we go, press it up again, tension up, 15%. I was saying, no need to add more tension to your starting knot because the machine will take care of pulling the knot in itself pretty much, so there's no tension loss. You'll probably see, I'll point this out, so Parnell knot, guys, P-A-R-N-E-L-L, Parnell knot. So I'm going to release my base and you'll see this move ever so slightly. See how it moved a little bit? Not much at all though. That's where you're losing your tension. Just a small piece between your clamp and knot, which is just a couple centimeters probably. That's where the tension is being lost until the knot catches properly, let's say. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and a half. I know I'm gonna have plenty, could probably do 7 1/4 if I really wanted to. It's 98 square inch, slightly smaller head size, but nothing too dramatic. So keep it at 7 1/2. Unless you have OCD about saving strings, then 7 1/4 will also do the job. I like to leave myself a little bit more than maybe I need. I'll show you at the end. So find yourself your nearest grommet where you can tie your starting knot. Excuse me. I'm stringing 1 ahead. What does 1 ahead mean? I weaved my first string and then I weave a second, because it makes it much easier to weave a second string as to 1 and 1 and 1. You do 1, then another, and so on and so on. So you watch the knot, if you can see it, hopefully. See, it slightly pulls into the grommet, ever so slightly. You can start either side on this racket, it doesn't matter if you start here or here. There's no specific grommet system to follow or anything like that. Most rackets tend to be like that. The Babolat has a system called the FSI system, typical on the Pure Drive, some Pure Arrows if I'm not mistaken. So just watch out for that for future reference, but not on this racket. It doesn't matter where you start your starting knot. In other words, it doesn't matter where you start your mains from. But don't be tying knots on crosses. Tie your knot on a main, don't tie it down here. If it's a brand new racket, get yourself the awl, wiggle it through a little bit, open up a nice space. Don't be making up new things. Hold that string in place. Don't have to put it up massively, but don't let it drop either. Want it nice and straight. That way I don't have to straighten my strings afterwards, because that's where we also lose tension. I'm just going to check my angle on the camera. All is groovy. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit more. Hopefully that helps you guys. Do comment. Do leave me a comment if you think the view is good. I've just started all this YouTube video journey out. I will be doing racket reviews very soon. Starting to test the rackets out already. Today I tested the Yonex Percept and the Solinco Whiteout 305. Got lots of different demo rackets in currently that I'll be testing out and leaving reviews on YouTube. I personally use the Diadem Nova V2. They've just launched the V3, which I got the phone call today that they're in stock in the UK. So I'll be getting my hands on a few of those. Great rackets, the Diadem. Really fantastic rackets. Highly recommend them, guys. They're really putting the extra good material into the frames, good carbon graphite, more of it, higher quality, more than your big brands, your big commercial brands, Wilson, Babolat, Head. So yeah, don't forget, guys, a lot of the rackets that you see the pros using on tour or on TV, they're not actually the rackets they're made out to be. Just keep that into mind as well. A lot of the guys on tour, men and women, have different rackets, and they're just painted commercially for obviously commercial purposes. That way they can make more sales. However, Yannick Sinner, for example, supposedly has a pretty much off-the-shelf racket. They've been starting to say out there. Sounds like it. They questioned him about it when he won the Australian Open. I don't know if it was semis or even in the final. Might have been semi-final. And he has a little bit of lead tape just on either side of on the 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock on both sides. Looks like there might be 4 or 5 grams additional. But you don't see that often. Grand Slam champion using an off-the-shelf racket. I'm sure they get weighed at least to make sure they all weigh the same, because you have to be very careful with that. I do have some pictures I will upload at some point with a video. A few months ago even, I customized a few Babolat rackets, Babolat Pure Drive. Oh wow, I've got them here actually. And they were impossible, when I mean impossible to get exactly the same. I think I managed in the end, or at least very close to. That's another one I wanted to speak about, another video. You see the different types of blue, same racket supposedly, Babolat Pure Drives, different blues, different shade of blue. Why? Is it a fake? Ooh, we'll never know. We'll never know, or maybe I do know. It should be the light blue, not the darker shade. I've seen this a few times now. I mean, the player that actually was using these was an ex-pro. It was about 1,000 in the world, English player. Harry Skinner, to be exact. He wanted the Pure Drives. I had one. He had one, and I had another. So he took one off of me, decided to not go with them. Tried the Diadems out. Really liked the Diadem Elevate 98 Tour, which is 315. And then he settled for, I've actually got them here, brand new rackets. You can't get these anymore either. The Yonex 2021 Yonex V-Core 98s. you cannot get them anymore. So if you stumble across this video and manage to watch all the way through the stringing job, you may think, ooh, find me on Instagram, Pro String, no dot, no nothing, just Pro String. And my buddy Harry ended up taking 2 of them, and now I have 2 left. I had 4 from another client, but there you have it. Just a little bit of a racket talk, I guess. How poor, unfortunately, how poor the rackets are coming out these days from factories. Cheaper and cheaper and more expensive. But yeah, they're not coming out all the same. They all come out different weights. They sell it to you at 300 grams. And of course, most people don't weigh their rackets or are not that interested. And most people only have one of one. If you're a keen tennis player, you should have 2. And restring your rackets every 3 months, even if you don't break strings. Highly recommend it. After 3 months is what we consider to be a dead string. What does that mean? That means the tension has lost all its tension that it would have had from day 1 when it was freshly strung. So even if you don't use it, of course, if you use it, it loses much quicker. But if you can string a racket, leave it there for 3 months. This string actually, Pro String Nemesis, I mean, it holds tension unbelievably well, surprisingly well. Sometimes I'll come back from holiday 2-3 weeks later. I mean, of course, it's not the same, but you know, taking things into equation, even if I've used the racket, it's just fabulous for tension, the string. But yeah, going back to my original comment, string your rackets every 3 months if you are a keen tennis player. If you do want the racket to help you, if you don't want the racket to help you, then you'll be working around your racket and adjusting your game to your strings. If they're soft, then you'll find different ways to control the ball. You'll hit slower, accelerate slower, less racket speed, and so on. Anyway, I've just upped the tension on my last cross. Find your nearest grommet that will permit you to use it as a anchor string. In this case, it's a main string. One of the vertical strings down, around, and back through. My first knot, again, it is a Parnell knot. I have some small stickers that I like to always add in my tennis rackets, or even squash if they have the space. Some squash rackets do have a neck or a throat. Let me just write this up real quick and I'll show you guys. It's a nice little detail for the client. Some clients, maybe 10%, just rip it off straight away. The other day someone was actually incredibly rude and fussy. Why are you putting that on my racket? Now there's residue, anyway, some people, sometimes you just can't win with some people. Despite their level being horrible, this client was incredibly ungrateful for lots of different reasons. Not that he needs to be grateful to me, but tension 48 lbs, and we used the Nemesis. Right, so I actually restapled the butt cap on this racket before the video. The butt cap was loose. If your grip is making a funny noise and you're not sure why, that's because your butt cap needs to be restapled. Much better than what it was. Yeah, some people will rip the sticker straight off. Other people are like, yeah, that's a great detail. I know where my racket needs to be done next. Don't have to search through emails, don't have to call stringing companies, and who did I call? If they were happy with the job, sometimes they forget who strung their racket. They just try to find you online and sometimes don't find you. But there you have it. My name, well, the company name, Pro String, with the phone number just below it, with the date, type of string, which is Pro String Nemesis, my name Ray, 48 pounds of tension. Guys, gonna love you and leave you. Hopefully that was useful for you. Again, that was the Solinco Whiteout 305 tennis racket. Have a good one, guys. Happy stringing. Bye-bye.